Beautiful day, Patriots. How are you? Today is day 46 of the 88 step program. Today is April 15th, 2021. And I've just got done listening to a very amazing duo, Mike from around the world and Pastor Paul Begley. And they do their Thursday nights quite regularly for quite a long time now. And I've been listening to both of the men before they knew each other and started doing their thing together. Tonight's show that Mike from around the world did with Pastor Paul Begley tonight, a lot of people might not be able to hear everything that was said by Mike, because when it's some information is so brand new to you for the first time, the brain will kind of just shut off and not hear it. So a way that happens is that you know how when you're watching a TV show or your favorite thing, but you have a mind thought and you start drifting off and start thinking about anything, what you want to do next, bills, problems, happiness, anything. That's what I'm talking about. Your mind will kind of drift off. But anyways, his show tonight was amazing. And I've been listening to, as I say, to both of those men for a long time. A decade almost. And there isn't anyone else that I know of that preaches like these two gentlemen. They fit my style. I like it because it's the truth. And when I was on Twitter, you know, it's hard to, with the things that Mike was talking about tonight, was why I was kind of like I was on Twitter. Even though I fell victim to it, but you never know who's on the other, what's happening on the internet and reality. You just don't know who that other person is. Might not even be another person. Might be a computer. Anyways, if you want to know more about that kind of a subject, I highly recommend their show. And some of the things that Mike was talking about is what I'll talk about right now, is that, let's see, let's use an analogy of a parent and a child. And I'm not a parent and I have no children. But I imagine a lot of you do or will. And when you have your children and you're teaching your children something or everything, you can't really afford to be their friend. You're there to make sure that they're learning something and that you don't get sidetracked and that, well, you stay detached from the things, I guess, what you're doing, I guess. I don't know how to say this. So, if you are really doing your own thing and studying and learning, you wouldn't necessarily need to go out and impress and make friends with everybody. You'd be doing your own thing. And if you're doing your own thing, you realize that life is a lesson and tests. And that things are there for your learning purposes. And I've always been blessed. And some people might think that know me that say, oh man, that's crazy. I've never seen you blessed ever once. But luckily for me, no matter what my circumstances has happened to me, I'm always grateful, and I can't. It's just I'm so lucky that I'm this way. This part didn't have to be forced into me, in a sense. That I always knew it could get worse. Even when I'm like back in early days when I was younger, and you go through depression sessions. Even during those, I always was like, man, I might not feel like it or have the energy to do something, but I sure am glad that it's not worse. Grateful that I'm here doing this. Even especially what I'm doing right now. I'm grateful that I get to enjoy my mind and my painting and have Jesus Christ and the Lord in my life. And the thing about Michael and Pastor Paul Begley is that they're kind of like fire and brimstone type of a preacher. They just tell you like it is. And what is about ready to come, okay, like people love horror movies and scary movies. I don't. But you want to read the scariest story of all time, read the Bible. Especially Revelations. And if you can do that, you can see that we're about ready to experience just unbelievable amounts of things. And now we get to why I'm talking about this stuff. Because if you listen to Mike's show, the world's about to do some funky stuff. And I've been so blessed throughout my entire life to have these lessons. I've had everything stolen from me multiple times in my life, where I've had to start with literally, absolutely with, whatever I had on me. And it was never really that big of, who wouldn't go through the emotions of the sadness, and then you have to start over, being a victim, and like, blah, 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 blah. Okay, right? Everybody's going to experience that to some sort of level. But I'm also so blessed that it didn't, that I was able to gain something from it. There's a reason why each time I can look back and say, oh, it was because I was thinking like this. I was thinking like that. It's really, truly how I believe how sometimes the world's put together, the way God made it. Excuse me. And one of the greatest lessons about having everything taken from me multiple times, because I've never lost everything. I've never been a gambler to the point where I lose everything. I've never been a drug addict or an alcoholic that I lose everything because of the addiction. Even though I've experienced a lot of addictions of many different forms, not just drugs and alcohol, because consciously that we do things addictively. Painters addictively paint. Artists addictively. If an artist doesn't do it addictively, they don't get any art done. So whatever we do, you go to work addictively, you say, no, I have to be there at 8. Yep, just like an addiction, 8 o'clock, boom, you're there. So all those times that I've been able to have things with nothing, I look at Mike and Paul, Pastor Paul Begley, message, and I'm able to be so grateful knowing that physical material is absolutely pointless. It never, ever, ever brings anyone happiness. You know what some of the saddest things I ever see on TV or YouTube or anything like that is when these big old rich people show off their car collection. Maybe it's just me because I've never been a millionaire or a billionaire. But what a waste of money to give a person like that would sit on it in a garage and then would even shoot and kill somebody for taking just the smallest amount of their wealth. Physical property of ownership should always be able to be just walked away